In this episode of Motive Garage presented by Sparesbox, we're testing an intake on the new Nissan Z. In previous episodes of Motive Garage with our Nissan Z Proto, we had some very good results with tuning the car with ECU Tech software at Croydon Racing Developments, and then we only had minimal gains by adding a complete aftermarket exhaust system because we found that the factory turbos are quite small and they're well sized to the factory exhaust system, even though it is very, very small indeed. Overall, very good results for exhaust and tune. So the next logical thing to test on the car for power development is an intake. Now, you'd think after a year on sale, there would be a bunch of options for the new Nissan Z, but there actually isn't. We pretty much had a choice of Nismo, AMS, or Z1. Which one did we go for? Well, the Nismo intake. Why? Well, a couple of reasons. One, it has the most amount of internet points on YouTube due to that little badge on it. But most importantly, the reason we went for Nismo is because it should still have warranty, being a genuine Nissan part, and also because you'd expect a Nismo part to be tested and to actually work. So the Nismo intake for the Z actually isn't made by Nissan Motorsport in Japan. So is it really worth as many internet points is the big question. It was actually organised to be made by Nissan USA, and it is made in the USA, as you can see by the sticker on the box. But who designed and developed the Nismo intake? Well, I looked at it and I thought to myself, surely this was designed and made by the guys at AMS, because the kit is pretty much identical to their kit, but the airbox is slightly different and a different coloured filter inside. But the bracket, the silicon intake, and all of the little brackets and bolts and nuts that come with it are the same as the AMS one. I reached out and asked them, did you design and develop the Nismo intake? And they said, no, they didn't. But I reckon they did, and they're probably just not allowed to say that they are. But even if they did do it, it's a good thing, because if I was going to get someone to make an aftermarket intake for me, I'd want it to be the guys from AMS, because they have a reputation of building some awesome cars, very high quality products, and know what they're doing. And when they make power claims, I tend to believe them. Now, the power claim for the Nismo intake is 11 horsepower. So let's get it on the car and find out if it does. Opening the box, you can see that the kit comprises of silicon intakes, which provide smoother airflow to the turbos, a new plastic pipe that uses the OEM airflow meters with bell mouths into high flow pod filters, new air boxes that use the factory cold air intake tube, and there's some brackets, clamps, and bolts used for the install. What I did notice was missing was instructions, and of course that little Nismo badge that everyone wants. The quality of the plastic is not as good as OEM or Nismo Japan. There were some scuff marks and moulding marks, but overall good quality for aftermarket intake, and you won't see the imperfections once it's installed. So let's get that done. But first things first, we need to get a baseline dyno run for the day. The second of 3 consistent runs was 317 kilowatts or 425 horsepower. Time for the install. It didn't come with instructions, so we went to the AMS website and used their instructions for the intake kit, which was exactly the same. The install is fairly straightforward, and with it all done, it was time to see if it works. After a couple of runs for the ECU to learn and for Con to check the tune, the second of 3 repeatable runs saw a peak of 323 kilowatts or 433 horsepower, which was a gain of 6 kilowatts or 8 peak horsepower. This doesn't tell the whole story though. If you look through the entire power run, we had gains everywhere, and some spots were up to the claimed 11 horsepower increase. Well, there you have it. The Nismo intake works exactly as claimed on the Nissan Z. Would it have made as much horsepower on a car that's completely standard? We're not quite sure, but if it works when the car already has an exhaust and tune, you can guess that it probably will work on a completely standard car as well. Now, the big questions are, can you hear the induction noise? Honestly, I can't hear it over the exhaust. Now, some people might be annoyed about that because they want to have all the extra noises of an intake, but some people probably like that, especially someone that's spending the money on a Nismo intake because they don't want it to get in trouble with the police and they want to keep their warranty. Now, can you feel the extra 10 horsepower? To be honest, on the power level we're on, you can't really feel it on the road. But here's the thing, the combined package of exhaust, intake and tune has now netted us 52 kilowatts up top, or a 70 horsepower increase over factory, which I think is pretty good for just basic mods and still on pump fuel. So where to from here? Well, I think it's time to go back to the drag strip and see what we can do. Stay tuned and subscribe for that one.